This tutorial outlines the steps in exporting an animation as HTML5. I've added something very simple to the stage. Two objects, one text, one an image. It really doesn't matter what's here because the steps are identical. I'm going to start with File, Export Settings. There are a number of options. In general, you can go with the defaults, but I'm going to go through each of these. If the language for the text in your animation is other than English, you can change that. If you would prefer that the JavaScript be in a separate file, you can change that. If you are drawing shapes and you require that greater than 1 decimal point pixel precision, you can change that, but it'll come at a cost in the size of the JavaScript. The online approach is technical, and unless you understand the difference between these two approaches, I would just keep that as is. There are 4 JavaScript animation frameworks. 3 of them are built on Create.js. There is a minor cosmetic issue here in how this is displayed. It's 0.8 and 0.6, not 8 and 6. The latest version is over 1, but only slightly over 1, I believe. But it got quite a bit larger in size, so I stopped at 0.8. We did create a version of our own quite a number of years ago. It's very tiny. It's only 16 kilobytes, but it does encompass less functionality. If you are doing an animation for an HTML5 ad, I would start there, see if that works for you. If it doesn't, then you can always move to a higher version, one of these larger versions of Create.js. If you're creating an ad, you probably want to check this ad.size meta tag. If you would prefer that your JavaScript and CSS files be in the same folder as your web page, you can select that radio box. Otherwise, you can put the files in a subfolder, and you can change the name of that subfolder. If you're referencing Google Web Fonts in the text, which in this case we did, that one hello text object used Lato Web Font, and I said it was a Google Web Font, you can pretty much go with whatever here. If you have very little text and you only want to download the text characters using the animation rather than the entire font, then check this box right here. This allows you to customize how the canvas is laid out relative to the entire page. This shows the file sizes of the 3 files. I already saved this file as demo.fun, and so it defaulted to a HTML file name as demo.html. That's certainly changeable. I'm going to start by looking at the HTML5 code, and this is the codes in 2 sections within the head tag and within the body section of the HTML. Where you want the animation to appear, you would put this div, and you can look at a full HTML5 example with that code. These are the 2 files. It doesn't include the HTML file. And to export as HTML5, I can select this. I've already saved the file as demo.fun, so it came up with this name. I can change it to something else, no problem. These are the files that need to be uploaded to the server. They need to be in this same relative file structure. If you start putting them in other folders relative to each other, then the thing won't play. Or I'm going to talk about that later. There's also a little wizard to help you if you're using certain HTML editors. I'm going to select none here, and it asks questions and tells me where to paste things and so forth. It's a little bit more, there's a little bit more hand holding there. These are also duplicated up here under Export Publish Movie, along with quite a few other export options. One thing I want to talk about is what happens when it doesn't work. It works fine when you've previewed it within the KoolMoves or KoolShow tool, but it doesn't work when you've uploaded it to the server. I mean, that happens, and it's a little scary. So this is, I think, my favorite right here: confirm required files on the internet. And you give the URL for the animation for the page that contains the animation. It'll tell you all the resource files required for that animation to play, and they should be on the web, and you can test each one. You click on a file and you say test URL, and it'll tell you if it exists. If it doesn't exist, then you didn't upload it or it's in the wrong place. There's also two other things you can look at. You can look at this link, which talks about other options as well. For instance, it's possible your web browser has JavaScript turned off. And this other one, which we've already seen before, lists of files to upload. So that's the end of this tutorial.